Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this video, I'm going to talk about context, that is, context of communication. So this lecture is based on a book by Rob Anderson and Veronica Ross, and the book entitled Questions for Communication, a Practical Introduction to Theory. This lecture is based on Chapter 3. According to Anderson and Ross, there are two types of context. The first is physical and psychological context, which is more towards non-verbal environment. I will talk about this when we come to the topic on non-verbal communication. For this lecture, I will focus on social context, where communicators and technologists are in the situation. If you watch this video, you can right away get the context, the social context of this video. This context is very much familiar to you, that is classroom context. Here you can see that the students are doing an activity where they are giving a presentation using the PowerPoint slides. So what is context? Context is the ground for communicators. Context, in other words, is the background knowledge that one has to make meaning of a text. According to Anderson and Ross, context is an ecological concern for communicators. Developing contextual awareness is a question of noticing the connections between messages and their social, intellectual, and physical settings. Too much focus on individual elements make you miss the forest for the trees. A particularly apt cliche that emphasizes context awareness. So if we focus so much on the communicator, we might miss the context. Without the context, we won't be able to get the message. Many communication students are surprised to learn that context can have more impact than personality on how communication develops. This is true because the context determines how we communicate with others. So the style that we communicate depends on the context, not on our personality. So context is not only about what is said, but it includes where and when it is said, what else is said, and what else is expected. A text is important because of a certain context. So in other words, we can say context is what to say at the right time, at the right place, how to say it, and what to expect. Next, we go to the social context, a communication system model of social context. Roch and Batson proposed 4 levels of communication. The 4 levels are intrapersonal, one-to-one, group, and many-to-many. So this is the model by Roch and Batson on social levels of communication. Level 1 is intrapersonal. So this is not in the context of social interaction, but it has external social influences on how one develops his communication style. Level 2 is one-to-one or interactive. This is a two-way communication process. In this level, we have a sender and a receiver. A sender and a receiver can switch role from being a sender and a receiver. A sender, this means that a sender can send messages to a receiver, and a receiver can also send messages to a sender. Level 3 is a group level. In the group level, we can have two ways of communication, that is one to many and many to many. So in this level, communicators engage with each other in a group situation. One to many is where someone at the center sends messages to the rest of the group at the periphery, while many to one is where people at the periphery send a message to the one at the center. And the last level is level 4. This is many to many. So this can be seen in the society, in the social context, in the cultural context, or in the network context. This context is bigger than a group context. This model by Livro and Finn, where they say we have to include the medium of the context. So in this model, it includes the medium. There are three fundamental dimensions, which are temporality, involvement, and control. In the temporality, it is about simultaneous or non-simultaneous. This is about how people experience time in the communication. Involvement, it can be high or low. It concerns with how communicators get engaged with others or with themselves in a connective, affective, and sensory ways. And the last is the control. So this is how communicators understand how much control do they have. Either the sender or receiver has more control over the other. For example, in the face-to-face interaction, which is here, in the face-to-face interaction, it is a simultaneous simultaneous temporality, and high involvement for both, for the sender and for the receiver, and it is an equal control for both, for the sender and receiver. Okay, for the movies at the back here, for the temporality, it is non-simultaneous with high involvement, okay, for the sender, and which is controlled by the sender. And lastly, for example, number 14, database system, it is non-simultaneous, low involvement for the receiver, and low control for the receiver. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.